It's finally happening. Justice for Britney Spears is coming through the back door, no pun intended, of this Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs trial. Yes, it is. That's my prediction, and I will tell you why I think that. Let's get into it. Unless this is like the first video of mine you somehow ever saw, you probably already know. One of my major ops is Lou M. Taylor. I will play one reminder clip from that moment, from that time. It was right after Lou Taylor attempted to destabilize my entire life. I shouldn't even say attempted. She actually did kind of destabilize it a little bit. And I went to this Free Britney rally and I was hollering at her on the megaphone. Struck down but not destroyed.
Recently, a party on the other side of this conservatorship reached out in some sinister ways to try to silence some of my activism, to try to make me not mention that person or that person's business. Well, let me tell you something right now, because I know you're watching. I will be saying everything you tried to do to me.
I will be saying everything you tried to do to me.
I will be saying everything you tried to do to me.
But that's funny. Yeah, like, don't mess with that girl. She'll holler at you on the megaphone. Now, this is possibly the biggest Hollywood business manager in Hollywood, Louise Mary Sawyer Taylor of Tristar Sports and Entertainment.
We're going to be talking a little bit about Lou and Taylor today.
This Lou Taylor woman.
Lou Taylor and Robin Greenhill.
Lou Taylor.
Lou Taylor.
Lou Taylor. Lou Taylor.
Lou Taylor.
Lou Taylor.
Lou Taylor of Tristar Entertainment,
Who worked with Sean Combs.
Britney Spears, very controversial manager.
She is Diddy's business manager, or at least Tristar, the business is. But she became my op all the way back in about 2021, maybe 2020 even, whenever the Free Britney movement was alive and well. Shout out to the Free Britney movement. It is because it was widely known that Lou Taylor, through Tristar Sports and Entertainment, was Britney Spears' business manager. Now, Britney Spears did not like Lou Taylor and did not want her to be her business manager. But Britney's dad took over Britney's life as a conservator and immediately installed Lou M. Taylor. The New York Times wrote an article years ago about this situation. Now, all the way back in 2021, the New York Times was reporting that Robin Greenhill was in control of Britney's credit cards, medications, and they did write a little bit of an expose on Lou Taylor, and I think really was on the whole conservatorship. It's really a fantastic article. They left out a lot of important stuff in my opinion. But hey, look, I mean, they're the New York Times. They can do what they want. Is also in documentaries, including the best Free Britney documentary that there is, Slave Princess. Check that one out if you haven't, because it is the only documentary to date, I mean, other than the ones I made, but it's like a documentary. It's called Slave Princess, and it is the only one to date that has ever been made that really pointed out the real problem of Britney's conservatorship. It was the money motivation.
Yes, that both Jamie and Lynn want her to get better. The conservatorship is in place to keep her healthy.
Making anyone work against their will, taking all their possessions away, credit card, cash, phone, passport. The only similar thing to this is called sex trafficking.
I had certain people into my life that were just bad people. And I was very guarded at first, but then I went to a point where I ended up letting them in because I was lonely or whatever the fact, and I really paid the consequences for that.
I will say the New York Times did put in an article years ago that Lou Taylor had given, through Tristar Sports and Entertainment, about a $40,000 loan to Britney's dad, Jamie Spears, before the conservatorship was put into place. The conservatorship is put into place. Jamie, Britney's dad, becomes the conservator, basically slave owner. He would walk around screaming stuff belligerently like, I am Britney Spears, and stuff like that, like the weirdest stuff. And nothing ever happened to any of these people. Britney Spears' conservatorship allegedly ended, but the court case is still wide ass open and don't say case closed. Britney was having to pay every lawyer on every side of the conservatorship, including her dad's lawyers. She was paying her dad's lawyers to keep her in a conservatorship. It was the most egregious and abhorrent violation of human rights that I've seen under the American legal system, because it was so public. They were pouring hundreds of thousands of dollars into media. They were sending the lawyers out saying Britney needs to be in the conservatorship. She loves her daddy. I mean, they were saying some really crazy stuff, y'all. And it was all being done with Britney's money. It was just egregious. It was egregious.
This morning, the attorney of Jamie Spears, Britney Spears' father, is speaking out exclusively to ABC News.
This is a story about a fiercely loving, dedicated, and loyal father who rescued his daughter from a life-threatening situation. People were harming her, and they were exploiting her. Jamie saved Britney's life, has collaborated with her. When she is up for performing, she has performed. When she wants to record an album, she can record an album. And when she wants to live her life the way she wants, like a normal person, he has collaborated with her to do that as well. Jamie serves as Britney's conservator because he loves her. He wants the best for Britney.
Hey, ho, ho. Conservatorship has got to go. What do you make of the Free Britney movement?
I think we have to remember how this conservatorship was started and that Britney needed help. And that's why the conservatorship was put into place and why Jamie was appointed.
Britney got out of the conservatorship, but she didn't obviously ever get justice. It's been years since she's been out. All of us have been sitting around going, when is Lou Taylor going to get her comeuppance? When is Robin Greenhill, who is Lou Taylor's right-hand woman, but also was the person who was like on tour with Britney?
Hey, yes, Britney Spears, I take your ice bucket ALS challenge. I challenge Larry Rudolph, his assistant Adam Lieber, and Kenny Britt from the St. Louis Rams.
Here you go, Archie.
That's horrible.
She was Britney's assistant. Her assistant. Well, now Robin Greenhill from Tristar Sports and Entertainment has been brought up repeatedly this past week at the Diddy trial. And not as his assistant. No, not as assistant. What is Robin Greenhill in the Diddy saga? The accountant. But Tristar is Diddy's business manager. So yesterday, we get testimony from Jonathan Perez, who is a former Diddy assistant. This guy was Diddy's assistant from the end of 2021 all the way through when Diddy got arrested in 2024. So like basically 3 full years, he was Diddy's assistant. He answered so many questions yesterday about Robin Greenhill and Robin Greenhill being the answer. Not only that, but then on cross-examination, it looks like Brian Steele, who is Young Thug's lawyer, the truly humble under God architect, okay, he seems to be indicating that they are going to throw Tristar Sports and Entertainment under the bus. It looks like Diddy's defense is switching from this was all domestic violence to it was all Robin Greenhill and Tristar. Let me get into some of the things that were said yesterday about Robin and Tristar. So I do have the transcript here, but Rabbit, Down the Rabbit Hole News, is the one who sent it to me. Thank you. Shout out to her.
Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbit. True crime is my specialty. Exposed in the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Boring, researching, debunking, investigating, being nosy, super nosy, being messy, being shady. Rabbit Hole News. That's me, the chick with ADHD. Unmedicated, but quite educated. Hit that like.
I'm not going to read the whole transcript. I'm definitely not going to do that because that is her bag. So if y'all want to hear the whole transcript read out and all of that, please do go to Down the Rabbit Hole News. But there are a few little excerpts of just little screenshots of pages that I do want to show y'all so you can read along because I've been waiting for this since 2020, y'all. I mean, Britney Spears has been waiting for this since probably 2007. I mean, as you can see, I got up the word star as the search. Star search. The irony. Anyway, so look right here. This is the direct examination. This is page 159 of the transcript. And it is this assistant being questioned about various things. They pull up a text message and the text message is, "Hi," it's from him, the assistant. "Can you pull $2,100? Guy coming tonight, plus $1,524 my cash that I spent while in LA. Still waiting on Tristar for my other funds." And then I wrote the total. And you mentioned Tristar. Woo-hoo! What is Tristar? Tristar is or was Diddy's business managers. What do you mean or was? What did they do for Mr. Combs? What did they do? What did Tristar do? Breaking news. Transcript from yesterday. What did Tristar Sports and Entertainment do for Diddy? So they helped onboard employees. They helped manage his homes and his overall money, to my understanding. And who, if anyone, did you interact with from Tristar? He said Robin Greenhill. Now, if you will recall, Britney Spears said Robin Greenhill and Lou Taylor, she believes, were trying to kill her.
But I think I should do 15 reactions to this because it is a very vindicating moment for me, speaking of Tristar. sports and entertainment. So Britney said, a week before they sent me away to that F-word place, Tristar, all caps, invited me to their offices. Quote, we are here to make you feel special. Thumbs up, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I had lunch with Lou Taylor and Robin Greenhill, da-da-da. Right, ha, those same just killed me a week later. My dad worshipped those two women. I think they were trying to kill me, da-da-da. I still, to this very day, believe that's exactly what they were trying to do, but not a damn thing was wrong with me, and I didn't die. Nobody else would have lived through what they did to me. I lived through all of it, and I remember all of it. I will sue the shit out of Tristar.
She said Robin Greenhill, that's she called, quote, stupid woman, would give her medicines every morning. And she also said she was drugged with lithium against her will. She couldn't even talk to her parents. She said, I was like I was on drugs. I was like I was drunk. Robin Greenhill, from a little Gucci pouch. From a little Gucci pouch? Was it from a Balenciaga pouch? What was Robin Greenhill handing to Britney Spears every day? That's what I want to know. I wasn't there. I don't know if it's even true that Robin did that. I don't know. I wasn't there. They asked the next question, what was Robin Greenhill's role? He said, I don't really know. I don't know her exact role at Tristar, but she was like our account manager. She's our account manager for Tristar, like Diddy. Like she was the point of contact. So what did Tristar do for Diddy? It wasn't just, accounting. No. They onboarded employees. They managed Diddy's homes. They managed his overall money. They reimbursed business expenses to employees for Diddy. Now we're on page 196, about 40 something pages later. Now you talked about Tristar. Do you remember that? Question. Tristar is basically, you said, the business manager for Diddy. Is that fair to say? Yeah, I think that's how you described him. So you would have to submit any type of, if you wanted to be reimbursed, you would have to submit receipts to Tristar. Is that true? Yeah. And so he shows him an exhibit and he goes, is this the typical way you would support your expenses to Tristar? So if anybody's ever worked for a boss, especially one of these corporation type companies, and you spend something, they say this is reimbursable. But they're not just, you can't walk up to the, accounting office and say, give me $2,000. I spent $2,000. No, they want to see the receipts. They want the credit card invoices or something to show that you actually spent that money to be reimbursed. This is if you don't have a company card. Sometimes if you do have a company card, you're still going to have to show the receipts of what you spent money on. So they're kind of going through that. This is the cross-examination now. Brian Steele said, so this reimbursement report or whatever it is, it's like a thing that we can't see. Is this the typical way that you would support your expenses to Tristar? This is Brian Steele asking this, right? This assistant said, yeah. So this is just one example. You did this a lot. Isn't that true? Yeah. And this one is right before Thanksgiving 2022. Right before Thanksgiving 2022. Isn't that right? Yes. This is just listing. What is this? What are we looking at? He said, these are things that I did and I paid cash for, basically. He paid for these things personally with cash. And then he has to document with receipts to Tristar, aka Robin, what he spent his cash on. Now, this is all an exhibit we cannot see as the public, but he's submitting for his reimbursements. And remember earlier he said he was waiting for money from Tristar during the direct examination. So now Brian Steele is asking about that as well. Brian Steele then goes on to say, okay, can you scroll down, just show the jurors this exhibit? Okay, this would be the type of receipts that you would save to show the expense. Isn't that right? He said, yes. And you did that because Tristar wouldn't just cut you a check or reimburse something to you unless you actually had like a receipt or backup. Isn't that right? He said, yes. And if you didn't have any backup, then you could try to explain it, but it's best to give a receipt. The former assistant said, yes. And he said, and that's because this wasn't just combined personal funds and business funds. This is what you had to do to support that this was a business expense. Isn't that right? Right. And then the jury is dismissed for the day. All right. The last question Brian Steele really asked is about Tristar. Now, again, remember, Tristar is Diddy's business manager, Diddy's accountant. Why would Brian Steele be throwing them under the bus? Shouldn't everybody on Diddy's side be working together? What if they're not? We just heard that as recently as 2024, as far as this witness is concerned, Tristar handles Diddy's overall money. His business money and his personal money. Is Diddy and Brian Steele and them, are they all getting ready? Are they gearing up to say it was Tristar that was running a huge money scandal scheme and it had nothing to do with Diddy. Everybody knows Diddy wasn't the one managing his money. Everybody knows Diddy wasn't sitting there doing his taxes every year. Diddy wasn't the one calculating royalties. Everybody knows that. So the question is, who was? Lou Taylor has been in charge of some massive estates. The Prince estate. Justin Bieber, she was his business manager for a while. It's widely speculated that she was the one who orchestrated the sale of his entire catalog. Britney Spears' business manager, while hundreds of millions of dollars came in during that Vegas residency, all while Britney was under a conservatorship. She was too sick, too ill, too messed up to enter into a single contract or to decide what she was going to eat for dinner each night. But she wasn't too sick and wasn't too messed up to make hundreds of millions of dollars on stage for other people. Isn't that interesting? She wasn't too sick to swing from the rafters every night for 3 Vegas residencies.
Since 2008, Britney has released 4 albums. Would you hold it against me? Starred on a primetime show.
I felt like I had a connection with you.
And even hosted her own Las Vegas residency.
It's interesting. When she said no to a dance move, she was immediately put on lithium the next day and then put into a medical incarceration against her will in a house in Diddy's neighborhood. Isn't that interesting? Lou Taylor, Robin Greenhill, as far as the eye can see. What I think is that Lou Taylor and Robin Greenhill are under investigation already. I think that's why we haven't heard from Robin Greenhill. Why wouldn't the government call Robin Greenhill or Lou Taylor? Specifically Robin, the accountant. Why wouldn't the government call her? Well, what if she pleads the fifth? We already know what the government has done when other people have pled the fifth out in public. Capricorn, David James, Eddie Garcia, and then yesterday again, this guy pled the fifth. He said, nope, plead the fifth, right to remain silent. I'm not going to incriminate myself on the stand. Nope. Well, the government ordered him to testify. But in order to order somebody to testify, you have to give them immunity. What if they don't want to give Robin immunity? What if Robin said, I'll testify for immunity? And they said, Robin Greenhill and Lou Taylor are not in jail right now. They have a lot more flexibility than Diddy. What if he is gearing up and so is his team to throw them under the bus? What if he's trying to negotiate some type of deal? But if you want the mastermind behind the Britney Spears conservatorship, the Justin Bieber catalog sale, the Prince estate, the biggest beauty financing in history with that $600 million cash with the Kylie Cosmetics and all of that, I'll give them all up. I know the secrets and I know where the financial bodies are buried. And what if he's doing that? That's what I want to know. But I think the government has already decided that at the very least, Robin Greenhill is a co-conspirator. And I'm going to tell you why. It's all going to add up right here. This is page 219 of the transcript. This is the recross. Okay. So Brian Steele's last question was that. And then the government gets to come up and do a redirect. And then Brian Steele gets to come back up and do what's called a recross examination. So that's what he's doing right here. Look at this. When you wrote on Diddy's Exhibit 3604 that was just shown to you, personal for Diddy, baby oil, and snacks, you don't know whether that money was charged personally to Mr. Combs or was a business expense, right? He said, no, I don't know. I just needed my money back, my reimbursement. You got reimbursed for it, but you wrote the truth, right? Yeah. Then were you paid to set up for King Nights? Yes. You're on salary, right? Yes. Okay. And then Tristar, going back to the baby oil. We got Tristar and baby oil in the same sentence by Diddy's lawyers. What's really going on? Back to the baby oil, Tristar. They're the people who designate the accounting on the money, right? You don't do that, right? He said, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Your Honor. That was the last question. The last question on a Friday afternoon, period, that the jury heard was going back to Tristar, back to the baby oil, the personal expense for Diddy. They're the people, not she's the person, not Robin Greenhill. Tristar, the baby oil. The personal expense, they're the ones who designate the accounting, right? You don't do that, right? The assistant said, yep, it's all Tristar. There's one more thing I want to show y'all that's given me this idea, and it is a piece of evidence. This is on page 258. This is after the jury has left. Government exhibit C501. So GX means government exhibit. This means this is something the government wants to come into evidence. It is a text message from Christina Karam, which is Diddy's chief of staff, messaging Robin Greenhill to wire $15,000. Robin Greenhill paid D-Rock $15,000. And why does the government want it in? Because they want to show that D-Rock and Diddy were still working together. Their relationship didn't end just because D-Rock didn't work for Diddy anymore. And it also shows a sort of financial indebtedness. Diddy had wired his friend D-Rock. They didn't work for each other. He didn't work for Diddy anymore. There's just a friend now. But remember, D-Rock was the one that had hit up Mia and said, oh, why can't a big brother want to give his little sister some money, trying to basically pay her off to not testify certain things? It brings it all full circle if you really think about it. Look at this. You got to have a little bit of an eye for pattern recognition, or else you might think I'm schizophrenic. But if you can recognize a pattern, you won't. The government wanted to show text messages of Christina Karam asking Robin Greenhill to wire, chief of staff asking Tristar to wire 15 grand in 2021 to D-Rock, who no longer worked for Diddy. Why? Well, to show they were still talking, because they want to show that they were intimidating witnesses with Mia and all that. But it also, quote, it also does establish some form of, financial indebtedness to Diddy. And that is why the government wants to admit the messages of Christina Karam asking Robin Greenhill from Tristar to forward money to wire $15,000 to D-Rock. Because if there's a financial indebtedness of $15,000, then Diddy can have some coercive control over D-Rock. Who's wiring the money? Tristar. And what did Matt Rosengart, Britney's lawyer, and the New York Times years ago accuse Tristar of doing? The same thing. $40,000 to Jamie Spears allowed her to get her talons into Britney Spears' estate, and that's really what skyrocketed her into business manager notoriety in 2008. She was orchestrating these these residencies. She was orchestrating these tours, merch. At least Tristar was. Robin was the personal assistant. Or was she an accountant? What are these people other than handlers? That's what I want to know. It looks like the government has their target right on Tristar Sports and Entertainment's forehead. I'll tell you one thing, Robin Greenhill doesn't appear to have been given an immunity order, and neither does Lou Taylor. TikTok, time's up. Also, don't mess with God's favorite. That's all I really had for this one. In the meantime, if facts ain't defamation, and everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but if and when there is a federal indictment unsealed into Tristar Sports and Entertainment, namely Lou Taylor, Louise Mary Sawyer Taylor, and Robin Ann Greenhill. I don't know if that's her middle name. But if and when that federal indictment ever does, rear its head, I will certainly be first in line to celebrate, because I was the first person. Who really literally put it all on the line, gave up everything that I had ever worked for, gave up my career in order to be able to tell the full truth and nothing but the truth about what that crazy bitch tried to do to me. TikTok, time's up. Don't mess with God's favorite. Love you, Mina K. Bye.